Welcome back to South Coast Radio, where we share stories that inspire growth, healing, leadership, and transformation. Today, we are joined by an incredible woman whose journey from executive leadership into purpose driven coaching has touched the lives of many across Africa and beyond. She is a transformational leadership coach, author, organizational development expert, mentor, and founder of Lighthouse Coaching. Throughout through her work, she empowers individuals and organizations to lead with purpose, resilience, and authenticity. She is also the author of the deeply personal memoir, The Day Heaven Called Little Lights, a story of grief, healing, and transformation. So, as we welcome Kelebogile Monchusi, Kelebogile, it's such a pleasure to have you with us today. How are you doing?
I am good. I am so honored to be a part of this. Greetings to the listeners. Greetings to you. I am absolutely fantastic.
That's really great to hear from you, Kelebogile. Really awesome. So, you've had an extensive career in executive management across West and Southern Africa. Can you take us back to where your professional journey first began?
My professional journey actually started on the fitness floor. So I started as a fitness instructor. I studied sports and exercise technology with Tshwane University of Technology. It was then called Technikon Pretoria. And then I wanted to make a difference in people's lives. And at the time, exercise and seeing people make like transformational changes to their bodies and
Yes.
committing to a program that actually works for them. That was one of the things that inspired me to keep on also wanting to grow myself into making sure that I deliver on the promise that I make whenever I sit one-on-one with an individual. And then from there I grew into gym management. From gym management I found myself in HR. Always been one to think that I want to make a difference in people's lives. And then when I saw that there was rules and regulation, policies and procedures that people do not understand, and actually it gets them into trouble, I made it my mission to actually help employees to avoid the red tape in order for them to have fulfilling careers in their different positions. So I became the bridge between the employment environment and the people who works in that environment. And then after some time, I was given an opportunity to actually move to Botswana, where I had an opportunity to actually train a whole team and make sure, because what happened then is that we had to leave the Botswana branch with a fully functional local team.
Yeah.
So my role there was to make sure that the management team also understood what they needed to do and teach them how to actually execute what was expected as far as KPIs and the bottom line was concerned. That saw me spend 3 years in Botswana. I came back to South Africa for a year, decided I needed another change, and I was given an opportunity as a regional business manager in West Africa. So I went to West Africa, and there I saw a whole lot of opportunity, because there I had a very deeply embedded opportunity to help managers grow into their role, to understand what is required of them, not only from a gym perspective, but also from international standard perspective, service, leadership, representing yourself as an individual brand.
Yeah.
And that is how I ended up thinking from a whole broad spectrum, what is it that I can do to literally make a difference in people's lives, especially when I got to also go through my personal journey, which also showed me that life can throw you curves and and speed humps, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
And how do you then still represent your brand as a professional when life has hit you the hardest? And and that is how my whole career actually transformed to where I am now, thinking I need to start something on my own to actually go and take all of this knowledge that I have gotten from sitting in rooms where I sat down and my word was listened to, and I made an impact, from the experience of having had leaders who not only saw my potential but actually made time to invest in my potential, and the responsibility I carried in taking accountability to be the leader that actually inspired others to become the leaders that will inspire the ones that come after them.
That's really awesome stuff, Kelebogile. So what inspired your transition from corporate leadership into transformational coaching and personal development?
When I saw how people struggle with becoming an operator to become the one that leads the operation. Because there's a very thin line there. So most leaders would lead a team based on how they had learned how to lead a team from their previous leaders.
Yeah.
And and sometimes you go into the role and you try to operate, or the expectation is that people should be operating at a level that you operated. And you also try to lead a team based on your own personal experiences and how they affected you. And when you go into a leadership role, the dynamics actually change, because you need to also understand that there are other factors that are different to what you have experienced that affect people, and will also need you to adjust your leadership style to the environment that you are in. Not you bringing your environment into the workplace, but you adapting how you lead, because that is the one constant, into the environment that you have learned. I learned a very beautiful concept, which was, when you work into a work environment, unlearn what you've learned for you to be able to have space to learn what you need to learn, to purposefully deliver what you need to deliver for the new role that you are in. And that is where I saw a gap. And I thought, also with the experience that I had, especially in HR, and going into the regional business manager's role, that you see how the different hats that you have to wear actually need you to adapt to the situation that you're in. One of the most important thing, and I always carried this, and it was from one of my leaders as well, is that always learn the lay of the land.
Yeah.
Understand not only the corporate environment, you must also understand that which influences the corporate environment, where people come from, what people do on a daily basis, what their hobbies are, and it's almost like be empathetic, but understand what empathy is, because it's not erring on the side of the person, but it's also showing them that where they are could also be what hinders them to actually meet their greatest potential.
Awesome.
So that's how that's what motivated me to do what I do now.
That's really great stuff, Kelebogile. And your story is deeply rooted in resilience, healing, and transformation through personal loss and recovery. How did those experiences shape who you are today?
Oh, I learned a lot from my personal story. I learned a lot because I had to go through. I think one of the things that I've always believed in a work environment is that when a employment relationship starts, we always say that trust must always be led, must always be earned. And when I always looked at a work relationship, I always see trust at 100%. The work relationship starts with trust at 100%. And what I mean is, I come in with my CV and I say to the employer, this is what I can do. And they say, we acknowledge that you can do that because you are telling us, not because we've seen it, because you are telling us. And then what happens is that we will give you this amount of money for the 100% that you promised to deliver, because now, you know, you get the letter of appointment, you get the job description, you get the expectations, and you say, yes, I can do this, and you are in the role. You get taught what you need to learn, but you are coming with a skill that is expected to be delivered. So there's a trust relationship. And then it is when this trust relationship based on expectation gets eroded that we move away from what is expected of us. So my life experiences taught me that trust has to be looked from all facets of who you are as a person. So I went through a very deep betrayal story, and that shook my foundation on what trust was. In a sense that I had to now redefine how I react to what I believed trust should be, because it was from a very close person who took away one of the most beautiful things I've ever created, and that was my child. And when that trust gets taken, and when you have gone through that deep level of betrayal, I had to go back to the workplace and become the person that listened and be objective and try to see things from people's perspective. And there came a point where it became so much of a burden to me, because you would come to me with a problem and I would be thinking, and you think there's a problem, like, what are you crying about? Do you know what happens out there? Do you know what I have been through? And you expect me to look at your minor issue because you have blown it big. And that is where all of that, I had an opportunity to redefine myself. I had an opportunity to look at, am I being defined by what I have gone through and what has happened to me, or the event that changed my life? Or am I going to be able to find a place where I find the objectivity in me to still aim for what I want to achieve, which is making a difference in people's lives? Because you see, when I saw people from a lens of what I had gone through, I was no longer making any impact. I was no longer investing. I was no longer helping them to grow into the best versions of themselves. I was taking away from their experiences because they did not equate to the magnitude of what I had gone through. So that transformed me into learning the art of detachment, to realize that I shouldn't be reacting to people and the environment based on what I had gone through. I should still find a place where I can still be present and be able to deliver on what is expected of me without expecting people to listen to what I had gone through and feel sorry for me. So that whole transformation has gotten me to a point whereby I had to go back and assess my whole grieving process. I had to go back and assess how my grieving process has actually affected my work environment and the people around me. Be it my leaders, be it my subordinates, be it my peers, be it people at home, my sister, my kids, and everyone else who was trying to build sort of like a protective wall against me. Yeah. And also realize that I did not need to be protected, because in that protection wall, it's sort of like you have your wings clipped. So you are not able to actually fly out there and become the best version of yourself. And I had to redefine how I fit into the picture for me not to lose myself and to still go through the process, because you can't take away from the process of evolution. You can't take away from the grieving process, because once you skip a step, at some point in your life it catches up with you and you have to go back.
True.
So I am much better evolved. I can even use the word awakened being that sees things from a perspective of detach yourself from what affects you in order for you to still be the version of yourself that gives and helps you to make a difference in people's lives.
Wow, that's really awesome, Kelebogile. So you also wrote the book called The Day Heaven Called Little Light, which explores grief, trauma, and healing. What motivated you to share such a personal story?
I realized that there are two things that could have happened, or why this could have happened to me. And one, I stopped seeing myself as a victim of my own story.
Mm-hmm.
I started realizing that this was an event that happened into my life. The victims are already dead.
Yeah.
And that is what the book is about. It's about the loss of three most important people in my life, which was my mom, my dad, and my daughter,
Mm-hmm.
who died on the same day, and they were murdered.
Sure.
And the whole process of what went through up until the day where we got justice. And I always say this, that in the system where people do not really have much faith in the system that brings us justice when unjust things have happened to us, I'm one of the people who can say justice was served according to the law. So I realized that out of my story, there are two things that I can get.
Yeah.
I can use my story to give people hope, for them to realize that even in the face of adversity, in a situation where you find yourself that you have been deeply betrayed, in an environment where you have to live second guessing yourself,
Yeah.
there is hope. There is a God or a higher power that you can always believe in, and I always carry with me the words, I will never leave you nor forsake you.
Yes.
And when I sat down and I looked back, I was never alone, and that is the truth. Whether spiritually, whether physically, whether mentally, I was never alone.
Yeah.
When I went through the process, when I hit depression,
Mm-hmm.
and I had to go through the process, and I remember my psychiatrist saying to me, you have done so much too, actually, and this was a year later, and she was like, you have done so much, and you have relied so much on God, but now God has brought you here, and we need to help you. And it was very difficult for me to allow myself to be admitted into an institution at the time, because I did not want to be labeled as crazy. But only when I went in, I realized that the steps were necessary to get me to where I wanted to be. So it was to give people hope, and to give them the sense of security in knowing that God will always find a way.
100%.
That you will always have help being carried forward. Sometimes it doesn't come the way you expect it, but if you're open to receive it, you actually see the greater good out of your whole situation. So it was to give hope. Number two, it was also to honor the memory of the ones that left me. So I had to leave the legacy. And I remember I had my conversation with God was, what do you want me to do with this story?
Yeah.
And if I tell it, how am I supposed to tell it out there? Because I can't just write all my feelings in the book. I had to structure it in such a way that when somebody else reads it, they will get what purpose the book is supposed to actually deliver.
Yeah.
And that is to give them hope, to know that there is the light at the end of the tunnel, to know that you will never go through this alone, and to also take responsibility of how you reacted during that phase and period. And because when you take the accountability of the things that you have also done to hurt others, then there's a whole level of transformation that actually comes through. So that is the reason why I decided to share the story. That is why I decided to share the deepest hitting moments of what I went through, not just the fluffy story of people seeing me smiling. I just went personal into the whole thing, the pain that I went through. And I remember there's a chapter where I talk about the womb bleeding, because it's the same process that I went through when I was giving birth. And you know that, when a woman gives birth, there's like a 6 weeks period where you bleed everything out, because your body is reconstructing itself.
Yeah.
And it is after my daughter was, after we buried her, that my body actually also constructed, because the womb was also breathing and it was bleeding. So I went through the whole 6 weeks period again, which was quite fascinating for me, because it just showed the resilience of how even the body can go back to regenerating itself. And that's exactly what we need to do. When you have gone through a period of adversity, the best thing you can do yourself is get to a point where, when you have done all the grieving, when you have done all the mourning, when you have done all the feeling sorry for yourself, regenerate yourself. Because there is a point where you have to, and you can start from scratch 100%. And redefine who you are. Yeah.
That's really great stuff, Kelebogile. Now, you strongly believe that emotional intelligence and personal mastery are essential for leadership. Why are these qualities so important in today's world?
Because we, as leaders, depend a lot not only on our skills and knowledge, but on also reinventing ourselves.
Yes.
We read a lot of books out there. We read and it's all credible information, because it's also coming from personal experiences and proven theories, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not a one shoe or one size fits all approach. There are things that you have to discern that they will work for you. There are things that you need to know, not to use. And like I said in the beginning, that sometimes I lead because of what my leadership style was.
Yeah.
But I might struggle with that type of leadership style because it is not who I am. So the emotional intelligence part of it comes in, because when you finally decide to stand in your own authenticity, then you get to be able to carve the leader that you are meant to be, the one that you are supposed to be, the one that you are comfortable in being. And that is the only way you're going to get to a point where you can make a difference. Because otherwise, you keep on putting out fires for things you have created but you don't understand, because you are following another person's theory or practice instead of understanding who you are, what you stand for, what you believe in, because your values tie very tightly into the type of leader you will also become.
Yeah.
So the reason why different people make it in different environments is because they have realized who they are. They are not swayed by what is popular. They are not swayed by every advice that is given to them. They actually accept and acknowledge all the information they have gathered, and they sit down and they honestly look into, who am I with relation to the information that I have received, and how will I take that and actually be able to put it into practice for the benefit of others, and to also go back. The best thing that you can ever do for yourself is to go back home and sleep with both your eyes closed, because all you have done was be authentic, and authenticity can never be second guessed.
Awesome, Kelebogile. And one of your key messages is aligning purpose with performance. What does purpose-driven leadership look like to you?
Let me give you an example. So I had an opportunity to sit in a management committee. The management committee looked at employee benefits, if I can put it that way. And I remember the first time I sat around that table was because I was voted for as an employee representative. And at first I was a bit weird because you're sitting in that meeting and it's your first time and you kind of like don't know what to say or how to contribute. And then an idea just came to say, just be yourself and speak your truth.
Yeah.
And I remember by the end of that meeting, there were changes pertaining to the funeral benefit within the company that was made because I decided to literally speak up. And that's when I realized that my purpose was actually bigger than being liked at the level where I got voted onto this table. It was to make sure that decisions that are made are also understood from the people I was representing around that table. So if you do not know what your goal is, if you do not know what you want to achieve, if you haven't figured out the difference that you want to make in the bigger scheme of things, when opportunities like that present themselves, you become a body that is silent in meetings where you can make an impact and actually influence the change that needs to work for others. And that is what Purpose Driven was. So, like I said, I've always held I have to make a difference in people's lives. But that day, instead of only affecting the 700 plus people that I was giving support to as a HR leader, I made a decision that actually impacted a 5,000 plus people corporation. And that is where your leadership style has to always be purpose driven. If you want to be a manager or a leader that's going to just sit in one place, there will never be growth. But you have to define what growth is for you and how it's going to impact others. Because if you do not, if your actions do not affect, or whether you act or you don't, it will always affect the people around you.
Yeah.
But when you have thought about what your purpose is and actually look at what you want to achieve, I always say the universe aligns to give you opportunities to actually get the fulfillment in what you do. And the people that are supposed to see you and actually will invest in your growth will also see you because you have made a change. And I always say this, that you might have, let's say you've got 5 expectations from your managers, but you know that out of those 5, you've got one strong point.
Yeah.
And I was taught that let your strongest point shine the brightest. Because when you get motivation and being recognized for the strongest point, you are easily able to pull the other 4 into place and everything aligns. So purpose-driven leadership is about seeing that you were put in a position not for yourself, but to make a difference in other people's lives. What you do in your workplace on a daily basis affects the other people that work around you. So if I, as a leader, made a decision that did not sit well with my team, for example, I'm not only affecting the output from our team at work level. These are people who go back and they influence the people that lives with them, the people that they meet in the street, the people that have always been there for them. Because if I spoil somebody's mood for that day, their mood is spoiled for everyone.
Yeah.
So I have also taken from other people outside of where I am. And I'm not saying that the work environment will always be pleasurable, because you always have to know where you put your boundaries, where discipline comes in, where we celebrate, where we reward, where we recognize.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, when you have a goal to achieve, you are able to wear the many hats and still make sure that people understand where you're coming from. And that's why I will always revert, go back to your authentic self. Because it is in authenticity that you are aligned with the truth. And when you've got truth in you, you become a better leader.
Okay, so you're also the founder of Lighthouse Coaching. Can you tell us about the vision behind the initiative and the kind of impact you hope to create?
Let me take the example of what I said when I say what we do affects other people, not only the person that you are a leader towards, but also the people around them, or how their mood is going to affect them.
Yeah.
So let's say my previous manager used to use an authoritative style of leadership.
Mm-hmm.
And then I get into that leadership role, and this person was leading me that way because that is the leadership role that they have learned.
Yeah.
Or they're actually behaving in a certain way because, let's say, they have gone through a grieving process and their own leader was not empathetic, or they felt that they were shortchanged. So instead of being given the time to grieve, let's say the leave was cut short, they had to be called back. Yeah. So they never really got to deal with their own personal issues. So what they do is that leader will come back into the organization and brings in the resentment. But the resentment is not necessarily something that happened within the workplace. It's a situation that were not. It's influenced by a situation where they were not given an opportunity to grieve properly in order for them to heal or to come to some sort of acceptance with their personal situation in order for them to come and make a difference or do what they needed to be doing in the workplace. And I saw a gap there because, yes, there is employment assistance programs and we do all these wonderful workshops and seminars where we bring the Kelebogile of this world to come and speak on it. But the actual influence comes when you have given, or the person has taken the time. And this is not only an organizational responsibility, it's also an individual responsibility. And this is where my coaching comes in. To say you need to sit down and actually, one, you must accept that you have this problem. So you acknowledge that you have the problem, you accept that you have the problem, and then when you accept that you have got that certain situation in your life, we are able to move forward from it. Because then you have to follow the process of letting go, the process of surrendering. And also the other thing that we do not do is we don't sit down and actually be grateful for the hardships that we have gone through, in order for us to be able to learn from it so that we can use it to help the ones that we are with. So now, if I had not gone through the grieving process properly, for example, I will never understand, or I will take that experience and I will always give it to the next person under me that actually has also is going through a grieving process. So I cannot understand because I had to get up and put on my big girl panties on and move on with life, knowing that I had lost my people, you know? Yeah. So I expect the other person to actually go through the same thing. So this is where, these are the little gaps in our leaders, where when we do counseling with leaders, we look at what is the company's requirement, or we put on systems that puts an expectation on them, without having to deal with the other underlying factors that makes us human. And those are the underlying factors that actually affects the workplace more than the failures that we do not see, because we are always delivering from a recordings point of view, in a business context. But it is when we deal with the issues that makes us who we are, even within the work environment, the issues that affect us at home, the issues that take away from who we are based on what we heard, what we were told, what we have experienced, that makes that makes it a little bit more easy to err on the side of empathy. Another word that can also be very misconstrued, because when we say people are empathetic, we always expect them to understand where we're coming from, and yet we don't want to be held accountable for reacting to to that situation in a way that affects others in that work environment.
Yeah.
And that is what I want to achieve, for people to literally take accountability for how they react to situations. And this is where I'd say I learned the art of detachment, to not let situation affect me in a way that hinders the other people around me, and in a way that will always help me ground back to self. And that is the biggest thing that I see as a gap, that people are not able to go back to themselves, because what they have gone through affects them so much that they don't even see. So when you miss that next opportunity or next promotion, you don't understand how you did not get it. It's because you've got little other underlying issues that you carry with, that were never really addressed and you've never taken accountability for. And you don't understand when people say, but you do this. And you're like, but why didn't you tell me before? But it wasn't for them to tell you. It was for you to actually sit down and take stock of who you're becoming, how you are evolving, what you have become as well, because that affects the team dynamics in the work environment. So that is what light coaching is all about. So where we sit down and we listen, and we go into these little issues, and we hold you accountable for making sure that they don't affect you in a way that actually not only makes you dysfunctional, but also hinders the growth of others around you. Because once you have dealt with yourself, you are much more capable of becoming a better leader, and growing other leaders to become better people as well.
So you also you mentor professionals stepping into leadership roles as well as aspiring coaches. What are some of the most common challenges people face when growing into leadership?
I'll say complacency. People become very complacent, because the one thing that is constant is change. And the one thing that is very constant with change is in working environments. So, but what we do is we want to hold on to what we know. We want to hold on to how we have done things. We want to hold on to what worked. We found, and once it works year after year, you hold on more to it, because now the complacency is in that you will never go out there and find the evolution. You will never go out there and actually look at other ways to do things. And that is where we find the stagnation of leaders of our leaders in positions who struggle with change. And then we have older employees, even the younger ones who've been in a position for a year or two, who struggle with knowing that a younger person has come into the work environment and they actually running through. Because with them, it's just like with a child. Every child have got these crazy ideas, because all they know is how to be free. And as a leader who's not complacent, you will encourage the creativity. So we always speak about innovation, and then when we allow the innovative ideas to come through, when you look at them and then you see all the red flags, instead of actually seeing how you can take the experience that you have and actually use those creative ideas to benefit, so that there can be an evolution, so that we don't look at a system that worked 10 years ago still working today in the age of AI, for example. And that is the biggest danger, that we become so complacent in the books that we have read, the knowledge that we have acquired, the things that used to work, that we are so scared of creativity that we literally clip the wings of the others that come behind it. Yeah.
Okay, so for someone listening today who may feel stuck, overwhelmed, or uncertain about their purpose, what encouragement would you give them?
All you have to do is take the first step. If you've got an idea, try it.
Mm-hmm.
And see how the universe aligns with what you are needed to do. There is no idea that comes into anyone's head that is not meant to work.
Yeah.
But the fear, and it goes back to that, oh goodness, how can I forget that line? See, I didn't write it down. We're capable of more than what we think.
Yeah.
Something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
But fear holds us back.
Yeah.
Do it when you are afraid. Do it when you have been stripped of everything.
Mm-hmm.
Because at that point when you are afraid, there's only two outcomes. You can either succeed or you can learn from the mistake that you have made.
100%.
But you can never fail. They always say the only time you fail is if you did not try again.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so go with that idea, because that idea might be your breakthrough. Just believe in it.
Really awesome stuff, Kelebogile. And so what's next for you in this season? Perhaps any upcoming projects, workshops, or goals you're excited about?
I'm still working on how to. So my biggest dream, to honor my daughter's memory, is I want to open up reading centers. My daughter was a very astute reader. She read for understanding at the age of 7. She could read for you and explain the concept of what she has read and how she feels it applies to you, which I saw as a very big thing. She was not afraid to try different theories or to play around with words, which is one thing that a lot of our kids do not really exercise.
Yeah.
And other children have not really had an opportunity to be also introduced to the freedom of being and reading for understanding. So I want to open up reading centers to teach kids how to read for understanding, to be confident in what they have read and to see how it applies in their life, and be able to speak about it without being worried that it does not fit into the social norm context.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I'm still working on that one. And I hope I'll be able to proudly say one day, hey, the first reading center is up and we've got so many kids and this is what we are achieving. Because that would be my utmost success story.
Wow, that's really awesome stuff, Kelebogile. Just one more question before we close off with the interview. Say for someone who would want to perhaps reach out to you or wants more information about your book that you released, The Day Heaven Called, Little Light, etc., how can they reach out to you?
Okay. I think the best place right now, if you go onto my website, www. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I got stuck there. It's not House of Light anymore. Oh my goodness, how can I? Okay, let's start with the social media handles.
Oh, that's
at Monchusi Kelebogile on Instagram, Kelebogile Monchusi on Facebook. You can also find me on LinkedIn as Kelebogile Monchusi. Oh my goodness. Oh, www.lisediawalight.com. www.lisediawalight.co.za.
Awesome stuff.
Yeah. That is the best place, because all the information on how to get the book, how to sign up for our coaching services, all that information is actually on the website.
Great stuff, Kelebogile. Thank you so much once again for joining us today and for sharing your incredible journey and wisdom with us. Your story is such a powerful reminder that healing, purpose, and leadership can truly transform lives and communities. So, from all of us here at South Coast Radio, thank you for inspiring us to lead with heart, grow through challenges, and live with purpose.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much to the listeners as well for giving me an opportunity to share my insights.
No problem.
I'm really honored to have been here. Thank you.
Really awesome having you with us today, Kelebogile, and also to the listeners. That was Kelebogile Monchusi live with us this very moment as well.
The radio station you can't live without. This is your radio.
This is South Coast Radio.